Good evening, I'm Beth Offenbacher, and thank you for joining me for Green Career Connections. Let me go ahead and share my screen. I have a few slides to share with you on tonight's topic of how to change careers focused on the green industry. All right. Well, this is the first of an ongoing series of Green Career Connections that I'll be holding every month on the fourth Monday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. If you aren't able to attend in person, you are certainly welcome to visit my Green Career Connections channel on YouTube to watch past episodes of Green Career Connections. I also encourage you to visit my website. It's waterfordinc.com. There's a blog and many resources there that would help you as you think about taking that step forward in your green career. I'm also glad to speak with you about any questions that you might have about your plans for moving into this industry or moving ahead in this industry. So, all right, welcome. We're getting started here, and I'd like to just start out by telling you a little bit more about my background. I'm a coactive coach. Some of you may have heard that term. It's a specific training program that's available from the Coactive Training Institute, and we really focus on collaborating with our clients for success. That means that my role as a green career coach and in the work that I do with organizations isn't around fixing people, it's helping them to fix themselves. And so I really enjoy the work that I do. It's very, very rewarding. You can see that I have a tremendous background working at the local, state, regional, national, and international levels with a whole range of organizations and across many sectors. And the work that I've begun doing several years ago in the green industry is the most satisfying work that I've done. I also lead several workshops with leaders in energy and that focus on green careers. So I encourage you to visit their website at leadersinenergy.org to learn more and sign up for one of those programs. They're quite affordable and a really great resource and great network. So let's dive right into the content. I always like to begin my presentations with a question, and so I hope this prompts you to reflect and think a little bit about what you're looking to accomplish in your green career. And so take a look at these different images here. So the first one is the wolf, and thinking about which image most describes where you are as you look at your green career goal, or your career search right now. So the wolf is known to be quite family-oriented, quite group-oriented, very social. They love to howl, as we all know. But are you quite the social butterfly? Is that something that is a core part of your experience as you're looking into your career search? And I see we have a participant. I'm going to go ahead and mute you just so we have, for the recording, a little the background noise is as minimal as possible. So, okay, great, thank you. So, are you the wolf? Or are you the ostrich? You know that change is coming. You know that you're not satisfied with the work that you're doing, or maybe the organization is going to be making a shift, but you're not ready to deal with that. You're not ready to address that change that's coming, and you're just sitting back and seeing what's going to happen. Or are you the eagle? Do you have a goal in mind? You're working toward that goal. You're zeroing in, just ready to dive right down and accomplish what it is that you decided that you want to do. Or are you the bear, hibernating bear? Are you sleeping? You don't want to pay attention to it at all. It's kind of the ostrich in extreme. You'll get to it later. It's something you really are in a whole other world right now. And so wherever you might be on this spectrum, everyone has been there. And so the focus in the work that I do is to help people realize that, have some self-awareness, and then figure out what they need to do to move forward on the goals that they have. The place we always like to begin is who, because coaching is about self-awareness. It's also about goals, accountability, and action, but the who element is key. What do you know about yourself? What do you know about your strengths, your weaknesses, and what implications do those elements have for the kind of work that you want to do? What the dynamic is in an organization? Where are you successful? Where do you thrive? Where do you really feel like this isn't an organization that I'm a good fit for? And so having a really firm sense of who you are right now is essential as you start to think about making a career change and entering this industry. On the flip side of that, the other who is, who do you want to work with? And we're going to spend a little bit more time thinking about that. But not only is that awareness of yourself important, but it's an awareness of the other who's in your life, the kinds of bosses that you thrive in working with and those that really are difficult for you. Or do you like a team environment? Or are you kind of an independent team member who likes to accomplish things but not really engage on a day-to-day basis on team projects? So all of those elements, as well as the kind of organization and where it falls out in the green economy map, are questions that you really need to explore as you think about entering this industry. And to that point, this is the green economy map that we talk about in the green career workshops that I lead. And so it is a wonderful depiction of the diversity of organizations and interests and areas of emphasis within the green economy. And so I try to break this down to make it simpler, because there's a lot of moving parts here, into 4 quadrants. Let's start on the upper right. I call that the built environment. It really has to do with infrastructure, green buildings, for example. There's a lot of work right now in energy efficiency and using technology as a doorway to accomplishing some of the goals that we have in the green industry, addressing climate change, for example, and effective use of resources in that sector, transportation as well. So that's the first sector. Let's go over then on the other side of the map, and that is what we call the natural resources quadrant. It covers the natural environment, organizations like the Nature Conservancy, environmental science, for example, consulting firms, Ramboll, others that really fall engineering. And then you see a little bit of the energy and smart grid as well there. The third quadrant is the manufacturing sector, which is in the lower right-hand corner on the page. And so that really is about, the circular economy is a component of that. It's around the supply chain. How do we make good use of the resources and, be a good steward of the earth in terms of the products or things that are created? How can we minimize our impact on the earth? And so really thinking about that in a very holistic sense is that third quadrant. And then on the lower left is really around creating demand and policy making. So organizations that are public agencies, for example, the Environmental Protection Agency, a Corps of Engineers, a whole range of organizations really fall in this lower left quadrant. You can see it says intangibles on the outside of this circle. And so that is a core element of shaping the economy and doing it in a way that, again, is responsible and being a good steward. So really considering when you look at the who you want to work with, where it falls out on this map. Because the more you can learn about that quadrant, the more effective that you are going to be in trying to move into this industry, because that organization is going to know you understand what their needs are, what their concerns are, the work that they're doing on a day-to-day basis. So then we move into the what. And I love this picture because it's a picture of salmon going upstream to spawn, right? And one of my colleagues says, if you don't have a plan for your career, someone else will, which is so true. So those salmon know exactly where they're going. They know exactly what they're going to do when they get there. And so having a firm sense of your goal at this particular point in time, or a couple of core things, you know, short list is okay, is essential. Now, there are some people who I work with who, in the past who've had real challenges with narrowing that down. It does make it harder to move into this industry if you want to be all things to all people. And so really trying to think about, again, who you are, the kind of organization, and getting more and more specific about the kind of work that you could do is only going to help you as you move into the green industry. So I'm coming back to the green economy map because as I'm talking about this, we are getting more and more specific, I think you're noticing. And so around the edges of the map, you can see that I've added some things from the Occupational Outlook Handbook, which is published by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. You can go, anyone can go to their website and look up, you name that, a veterinarian, whatever it might be, and it will tell you, you know, what that particular position does, what the education requirements are, but they also pull data that talks about over the next span of, you know, several years, I think it's maybe 7 or 8 if I remember correctly, of what the projection is for growth in that particular line of work. And you can see some of them here that are mapped to the green field. So if you are an environmental scientist, those jobs are growing 11% faster. They're growing, anticipates 11%, which is faster than average, and you can see the average salary listed there. Similarly, on the lower right-hand corner, you see under mining and geological engineers, they're growing 8%, which isn't bad. That's about as fast as average, and you can also see what the average salary is there. Now, salaries vary based on a lot of different factors, you know, geography, demand, etc. But that is a really nice resource for you to think in a little bit more detail about what you bring and how it might match up to the marketplace. Now, I also want to spend a few minutes talking a little bit about one of the quadrants of this Green Career Map, which I've developed and that I use with clients. And so each of the quadrants have 4 different components that I help clients work on. And so the one I'd really like to focus on is the portfolio. And so this gets back to what we were discussing a few minutes ago about who you are and the offering that you're making to a potential employer. So that gets to the heart of what are your existing core skills, right? What are the competencies that you know how to execute in that organization? It might be developing a social media campaign and managing that. It might be doing a geological survey. It could be a whole range of things, but having that list of core skills or core competencies is an essential part, as you know, of your resume and being able to package and sell yourself to an employer. Related to that, the second point, what experience do you have? Specifics that you can share. Perhaps you're thinking about entering the green industry because you've done work on the periphery of it, and so you have some things that might be specifically related. But that shouldn't be a barrier, because in the HR field, what recruiters look for are transferable skills. So you've managed a team of volunteers working for an educational nonprofit. Well, there are green nonprofits that also have volunteers that need to be managed. So that's a great example of how skills and experience in another sector could directly relate to a new opportunity. And I just want to pause here for a minute and mention a little bit about samples. Samples are something that are really important so often employers will ask to see a writing sample. That might be a report that you've done, a project that you've completed. If you're in some of the arts and communications fields that would be looking for an opportunity, of course, they might have artwork or other examples. I mentioned the social media one. But to be able to have a file in Google Drive, or those things available on LinkedIn, wherever it might be that you've compiled and that's easily accessible, that you could easily draw from or share with a potential employer, is another element of your portfolio that's important. The relevant professional development and training that you've completed in the last 3 to 5 years. There are some skill sets that are older that would still be relevant, but to really think more recently about, again, training workshops and things that you have gone to. And if you haven't got a list of those, and particularly ones from green organizations, now is a good time to start building that. So this whole session tonight is about moving into the green field. If you're interested in green buildings, one of the things I'd suggest you start to do, is start to go to some of the professional association meetings, go to a seminar, come up with a list, develop that over time and keep track of the things that you've gone to. And be able to cite that experience or that training and development. So even though you may not have gone to those things in the past, to start to develop that network is something that's essential. And then finally, education. What training, educational training do you have at the university level? More and more employers, though, are not making a degree a barrier to employment. It's a small number, and so I will tell you that often HR people and hiring managers have a certain level, and that helps them manage the load of resumes that come in. So if you're not this tall, you can't ride the ride, so to speak. So being aware of what the norm is in your industry, and again, to be able to spell that out, you sometimes are required to submit transcripts as proof of that you've accomplished that particular level, especially at an advanced degree level. But those are the core elements of the portfolio, and that you should have as you start to think forward and put together your resume, your cover letter, and zero in on those organizations and the kinds of roles that you want to pursue in the green industry. So you're changing career paths and you say, well, I've got a whole range of experience in this other sector, but I'm not getting any responses. I'm sending out letters, meeting with people, they're encouraging, nothing's happening. So this is what I suggest, and these are strategies that I've used myself. I've changed industries 3 times in my career. And these are strategies that I use and that others have used as well. The first one is completing a pro bono project. Pro bono projects are free consulting or defined scope of work that you're doing for an organization. Something that's related. It's helping you. It's a learning experience. It's another way of saying an internship for people who aren't in school. And so it gives you an opportunity to learn, the organization gets something out of it, and you get something out of it. And hopefully you've done a good job, you have something for your portfolio, but you also have a contact, hopefully, that could say, so-and-so did a really good job for us on that project, we were really impressed, and it helped us. And that's something you can also use in the hiring process, the application process. The second is volunteering. Serving on a committee is a great way to meet people and to list that. That's another element of the Green Career Map that I work with people to help think about. Is another great way to show that you have particular knowledge or expertise on a topic. You join a committee, that's working on some kind of event or initiative. And there are employers on the federal level particularly that will count that as professional experience. You served on a judging committee for a project looking at, innovative solutions that help with, address the challenges of the circular economy or whatever it might be. Again, that has a lot of value that you can use. In fact, I know someone recently that applied for a position, and it came down to this person and another candidate, and he got this role because they said, wow, well, you served in a leadership role in your professional organization as a volunteer, and that made the difference for this person. So look for those opportunities that not only can develop your skill and knowledge, but they are leadership development as well. And then the last element is networking. Really thinking about ways that you can join organizations, identify those companies, those nonprofits, those agencies, and where do they play? Where are they members? Where do their staff members participate? And a lot of this you can find out just by doing some Google research, and start to go to those organizations. Try to strike up a conversation with those individuals. Join committees where you see, have a genuine interest, but find ways to make friends and to be able to not only develop your knowledge, but connections within those kinds of organizations, because data shows that a high percentage, 80-some-odd% of jobs are ones that people land not from positions that are posted on LinkedIn or Indeed or some of these other platforms. So having that entree through your network is really essential. So I think that's about it. Let me, I have one more thing I want to share with you. I'm doing a Green Career Momentum program with Leaders in Energy. It starts in a month. It's going to be a group career coaching. It's limited to 8 people. So the idea is not only to help you implement a lot of these elements in your green career plan, but also to extend your network within the industry. And in addition, you get 3 one-on-one sessions of 30 minutes each with me that I can help you kind of step through some of these elements or where you might be having some challenges. So if you're interested, put your email in the chat box and I'm happy to share that with you offline. So that's it for tonight's session. I'm going to stop the recording and open up the floor for discussion and questions. Here's my contact information, and I'd be happy to support you and help you in stepping into this field. There's a lot of challenges, a lot of need, and employers are looking for smart people who are passionate about this work. And I know there's a place for you in this field. We need you, and I'm grateful for your interest and look forward to hearing more about where you want to go and where you want to land.